Hello everyone, thank you for joining us on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. We are broadcasting from Cameroon's economic capital, Douala. I am Babla Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, Mombo, a locality in Banga Mongo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon, a locality that was abandoned by its inhabitants because of insecurity, overflowing of insecurity from neighboring southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, one of the two English-speaking regions of the country hit by security and socio-political tensions for more than 4 years today. Life has gradually started returning to Mombo. We'll show you the picture of that locality in this newscast. And in the northwest region, we'll take a look at the challenges farmers are facing as a result of the unstable security situation in the two English-speaking regions of the country. We'll also take a look at the state of roads in the town of Limbe in the southwest region ahead of the 2021 African Nations Championship. Stay with us. Life is gradually returning to Mombo, a locality in the Mongo Division, littoral region of the Republic of Cameroon. The village is said to have been taken hostage by armed men who came in, or was said to have been coming in from the southwest region of the Republic of Cameroon, one of the two English-speaking regions of the country hit by security tensions for more than 4 years. Today, now life is gradually returning to Mombo, and some of the inhabitants are going back to their village after relative peace and normalcy began being established in that village by notably traditional authorities. Details in this report.
Farm roads in Mombo, Boncarrier village in Mbanga subdivision, Mongo division now busy again with farmers seen with crops. Freshly harvested bunch of plantains could also be seen on the way, ready to be sold. These are activities which have been missing in this village for over 2 years now due to the crisis affecting its neighboring villages like Muyuka, Ediki, Ikiliwindi and Tombel, all in the southwest region. The village was deserted due to the alleged attacks from armed men on farmlands and on farmers. Apart from the crisis, the village has been without a leader for over 10 years. But that is now a thing of the past with His Royal Highness Chief Njembele Mukwele Jean Celestin enthroned as the third-class chief of Mombo, Boncarrier. The installation done by the paramount ruler of the Balong, His Royal Highness Chief Mukete Ngama Jelan, came at a time that land disputes is common.
The new chief that are installed here, we are there, we have lived here, we have invested here so much. Once the new chief come down the...
We have been here for several years and invested too much. Our cry is for him to come and stop the land disputes in this village.
If the village go look climb, we will run bad land for him, he secure us so that we can live where harmony with the people here.
The chief is calling on his runaway natives to return home and develop their village.
I'm the chief for Bamingi, I'm the chief for Bigcom.
I am the chief of everyone here in our village. Anyone with a problem should come to me before going to another person. If it's more than me, then I will take it to my superior, the divisional officer. I will plead with those living with us in the village to live in peace with the indigents of Mombo, Boncarrier.
I will talk for people who don't come out for this war. Say they don't come for Mombo, they don't mean peace. We will continue together for say we continue for peace.
Many are now hoping that with the chief on his traditional stool, peace will finally return to the village that was once deserted by its inhabitants due to the crisis in neighboring villages of the southwest region.
In the northwest region of Cameroon, our correspondent Stella reports that farmers are among those some of the citizens who have been badly affected by the Anglophone crisis. They have been unable to go on with their farm work because of insecurity provoked by gun battles between separatist fighters and pro-independence fighters and elements of the national armed forces, and this has brought untold sufferings to some of the families who depended on their farm activities. And the Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development was in the northwest region to encourage the farmers. Details in this report. Bustela.
This agri-show is supposed to bring together farmers from the 7 divisions that make up the Northwest region to exhibit their produce and network for better productivity. This year, observers say the turnout has been timid with low-quality produce on display. This as a result of the 4 years running armed conflict, a conflict which has led to the displacement of many farmers and their farms. Among the displaced farms is the Institute of Agricultural Research for Development, Bambui.
For about 2 going to 3 years, Iraq Bambui was vandalized during this socio-political crisis. When you go around, you see most of the farmers' products are low quality, low yielding and small sizes.
This 2020 Agri-Show in Bamenda saw the visit of the Minister of Livestock, Fisheries and Animal Industry. Dr. Tiger was presented to strides being made to ensure food security within and without the Northwest region as he went through the various stands.
And so we have our fish research stations at Fumba, and we have our potato research laboratory. We have brought it back up to the upstation. So as I was explaining the other day, the potato that is in the farmer's field now is about the 6th generation. The production has reduced a lot. And so now we are renewing the material for potato now in upstation, and we hope that these 2 regions will start to have good seeds, first generation, high yielding and resistant to so farmers can come all around and do that.
During his walking visit to Bamenda, the Minepia boss also inaugurated a hatchery and this building to host the services of the Northwest Livestock Development Fund.
Bustela reporting there from Bamenda. Over to Limbe in the southwest region of the country. Our correspondent Davidson Maimo takes a look at the state of roads ahead of the 2021 African Nations Championship. His report.
It is rush hour in the seaside resort city of Limbe. Total traffic congestion in some areas. Within some neighborhood, the people have to deal with the dusty nature of the road, especially those living by the roadside.
The type of road we have in Limbe for an Opec city is not actually the type of road we want. We don't even have the parking space, poor drainage system in the road.
Rehabilitation and the construction of pedestrian paths on some major streets ahead of the African Championship tournament. Cameroonians in Limbe say the work is moving on a snail pace.
It's slow. It's taking us down. It's not going. It's more than 21 days.
Up to now, they are not completed the job.
Some city dwellers opined that portion of the major street is still narrow, with so many potholes yet to be maintained.
There are so many potholes. The roads are not actually accurate. Expand the roads. They have enough allowance of the road.
The roads are still narrow. And where are we going to arrange the road when the sun is soon starting?
Standard roads are not there, and maintenance work to be very poor. Every part for Cameroon is poor.
The populace of Limbe are of the opinion that roads within neighborhood should at least be graded to ease circulation in case of congestion on major streets.
When the roads are too small, we will have congestion.
Actually, we need more roads in Limbe.
Only the access road to Kmer Stadium will be jam-full. There will not be enough space to go there. We need the road of the quarter to be tarred.
Nonetheless, the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing has done enormous work rehabilitating some roads. The construction of the Seka Junction stretch of road to Mao neighborhood. The construction of the Bota Hospital comprehensive stretch of road passing through Limbe Camp. Complementing government effort, the Limbe City Council is tarring the Snake Junction Alpha Club towards stretch of road, which is more than 75% completed.
They are doing all possible best in order to make sure the maintenance of the road is clear.
Generally, the people of Limbe pray that contractors should execute all road projects before the start of Shan.
The United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Cameroon is stepping up efforts to ensure that Central African refugees return to their home country and have a new life. So to speak, the officials here in the country's economic capital, Douala, facilitating the return of the Central African refugees who are in their thousands in Cameroon. 16 of them, 6 from Yaoundé and 10 from Douala, left the country today through the Douala International Airport, and they are returning home after several years in the Cameroon. In total, this year, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees has sent back home 2,028 Central African refugees, and since 2019, 5,498 of them have been successfully sent back home through the aid of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. And we talked to the head field officer of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees here in Douala. Take a listen.
We have both refugees and asylum seekers. The total number of individuals is 15,000. But among them, we have more than 9,200 refugees and 5,000 asylum seekers. From January, we had more than 200 return intentions. Voluntary repatriation is one of the durable solutions implemented by UNHCR for refugees. And those people are not selected. It's effectively a matter of voluntariness. So they call the UNHCR and ask to return to their country. The only thing that we have to be sure is the security where they are going to. And we are in contact with our colleagues in Central Africa who give the go-ahead so that we can be sure that where the persons are going, they will be totally secured. We had several departures during the last weeks. This is the third one. Last week we had 2 departures. Last week we had on the 9th, we have 14 refugees who went back to Central Africa coming from Yaoundé. On the 11th, we had 16 refugees, essentially from Douala, who went back to Central African Republic. And today, yes, we have also 16, among them 10 from Douala and 6 coming from Yaoundé.
And we also asked Mbemba Diallo, head field officer of the United Nations High Commission for Refugees in Douala, what the organization does to help these refugees to safely return home and start a new life. This is what he told us.
Small support and small allowance that we call in your jargon viatique. That is a small amount that we give them to help them for just to install themselves when they will arrive. But apart from that viatique, as they go back by flight, we take by the flight ticket because they will go by air. We take in charge the flight ticket, we take in charge the vaccination, the vaccines that are requested to go back, and we also make sure that they pass their test for the COVID-19. And we also give them a lot of advice on how they will have to behave when they will be there. We have this, we try to reassure them that everything is put in place for a good resocialization in Central Africa. And we have our colleagues who are waiting for them as soon as they arrive at the airport of Bangui Poko, because today and the last week we were sending back Central Africans. And our colleague there will host them and accompany them to their families and give them also a small allowance for the resettlement.
and today is the International Day of Migration, and on this day we're going to be taking a look at the fact that many young people, notably in African countries, including Cameroon, of course, continue undertaking the perilous journey through the desert and the sea for greener pastures in Europe, America, Asia, and many of them die in the course of the journey, and many are still thinking that the best for them, success, good life, is only out there. And we are receiving a young politician, the youngest councillor in Cameroon. Her name is Ba Akwen Nadie, member of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation. Thank you for joining us today.
Good evening to all the televiewers of Equinoxe TV. Good evening to all the militants of the CPNR political movement. I want to send a special greetings to Dr. Baga. She's the coordinator of the CPNR movement in the US. She was here in Cameroon, and she's still there. We carried out an initiative of Table Banc, which was at the Mayo Sanaga, to be able to help the children there to facilitate education by giving them some school items.
Right, and we believe that it should help them to be able to fend for themselves, to grow up to be responsible citizens, and to get a job, to create a job, and to stay home and not to escape like many young people are doing today.
Actually, because the rate of migration from Cameroon to other countries, like Cameroon is it's an underdeveloped country, and many youths in Cameroon they think that going out for greener pastures, or you can only make it out of the country. Meanwhile, in Cameroon we have everything it takes. We have our natural resources, we have our rich soils, we have our labor, which we are the human labor.
We have all these things, but why is it that young people like you and I are escaping from their countries, not only Cameroon, even other African countries, Nigeria and all the rest, even the African countries with stronger economic potentials, more than Cameroon? The citizens, the young people continue escaping to go out there, some of them going through very difficult journey conditions, get to Europe, to Africa, to the United States, and Asia, and so on.
I think that there is a problem of education. There is a problem of education from the base, because when we grow up, or when we are growing up, we always have that tendency of that when you're out of the country, or when you are in these European countries, that's the best way you can make it. It also boils down to the fact that these guys who had the possibility of going out first, they come with like some kind of flimsy, shining things to make us be like, wow. But at the end of the day, that's not the truth. That's the truth. But at the end of the day, that's not the truth, because these European countries are no longer the same. And the conditions that these guys undertake, like going to Libya and become slaves, and we had some cases of those girls who were in Libya and became sex slaves to others, to these Arab people, the Arabs. So I think that there is a problem of education. We should start by educating our children at home as parents, teaching them on the importance of being in your country, teaching them that Cameroon has much to offer, teaching them the ability of creating jobs for themselves, because at the end of the day, we must not get involved all in the government. You must not work all in the government.
Maybe some of the people, some of the young people listening to you today should be able to learn from your example. You are a young person, you are a politician, you are engaged in politics, engaged in nation building, and probably you might have escaped like any other person to France, to the United States, to Lebanon, and so on. But you're back home. What is that motivational factor that keeps you home to work for your country?
As I earlier said, I spoke of education and self-responsibility. When I talk of education, it means what? You were supposed to accept or educate yourself that you can make it in your country. I am a young politician. I left university. I have never worked in the government. I have searched jobs. I have written concours. I wrote ENAM. I didn't pass. I wrote ENS. I had the entrée, but I failed the orals. You know, these attributes discourages so many youth. And, you know, at the end of the day, they will tell you bring money for you to be able to get involved in bribery and corruption. At the end of the day, they'll be able to tell you bring money for you to enroll in this government work. But what is my push factor? It is the fact that I believe I can create job for myself. And there is also a problem of capital. You know, many youth, we do not have capital. We do not have who to give us capital. But I believe that if you believe in yourself, if you believe that whatever you touch can become successful, you can make it. I am young, I am dynamic, I am a young politician aspiring to take part, because one of the aspects that pushed me into politics is that the Cameroon population is predominated by youth. But at the end of the day, we find that youth are left out in decision making. That is why CPNR is a political party that is aimed at improving or aimed at teaching youth that you are supposed to take part in the decision making. That is why we are fighting so that the regime in place should be able to create conducive measures for youths to stay in their countries. They are supposed to create jobs. They are supposed to raise capitals for youths. They are supposed to, you know, give out possibility too for those who are out, like in the diaspora. They have means to come and invest to create jobs, but the government will always have a way of frustrating these people who have the good heart to come and help youths to have jobs and all that. So
is it easy for you as a young politician to sail through? Because some of the young people will say, but the world of politics, for example, is dominated by their fathers, their grandfathers, grandmothers, and so on, who some of them say do not want to give up their seats for the young people.
You know, Mr. Babila, the political sphere of Cameroon is really conducive. It's complicated. You are youth, you are dynamic, you want to make it, but those Goliaths will not want you. They always, yes, that's I call them Goliath, because we can see what happened during the regional elections. Were left out. Meanwhile, democracy was supposed to be proved, and youth were supposed to be applauded, because at the end of the day, all the decisions that these guys take, it greatly concerns the youth, like I am. So they should give way for us. That is why in the CPNR we believe in our pertinence. What we say, we are trying to seduce the population to be able to come and dine with us so that we can fight the regime in place, because the regime in place has killed the youth population, and this pushes them to go out. But I want to send a message by telling them that you must not make it out of the country, because Cameroon has all it takes for you to make it. We have the rich soils, we have our labor, which is us, we have all it takes. But the only problem is the regime will not let us be. The regime will not provide conducive measures for the youths to stay home.
All right, we're going to talk more about this later on in this edition of the 6 p.m. Primetime Newscast. Ba Akwen Nadi, politician, member of the Cameroon Party for National Reconciliation. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Babila Jonathan.
Coming up next, we're taking you up north to talk about the problem of inadequate electric energy supply. The Minister of Energy and Water Resources was recently there, and government is taking some measures to ensure that electricity is adequately supplied in order to mitigate the impact of this problem on business activities and on homes. Details in this report by Makule Fogwe.
The Grand North has been in the dark for several months due to persistent power cuts witnessed in the area, paralyzing economic activities. The Minister of Water and Energy, Gaston Elundu Isumba, during his walking visit in the town of Garwa in the North region, blames the situation to limited amount of water produced by the Lacto Dam. The main problem we are facing is the lack of water. Frequent power cuts in this area has nothing to do with the equipment. The dam produces 26 billion cubic meter of water. We are unable to distribute more than 600 million cubic meter of water daily. In order to resolve the problem, the minister, alongside other stakeholders, carried out a series of measures that can reinforce the capacity of water produced by the dam. We are going to dismantle the entire system and connect it to that of Yaoundé. Work has already begun in Gaoundé and Galwa. We have started installing the necessary equipment. We are hoping that during the first week of January, lights will be back. The population are anxiously hoping that electricity can be re-established so they can go along with their day-to-day activities, especially during this end-of-year period.
Talking Point is up next. Our second guest in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinoxe Television is an educationist and entrepreneur. Dr. Nick William, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Jonathan. It's nice to be with you again.
The big question we are looking at is how to solve this problem of young people who are continuously undertaking this perilous journey through the sea, through the desert, and some of them die in the process of seeking greener pastures in Europe, in America, in Asia, and so on.
Thank you very much. If we have to solve that problem, we must be very frank to ourselves. You see, if look at a city like Yaoundé, it's a beautiful city in quotes, and everybody is there, the poor, the rich, and whatever. But let's just suppose for 1 minute that there is no water in Yaoundé at all, and there's no way water can come to Yaoundé, and you cannot, if the boreholes are all dry and there's no water, everybody is going to leave Yaoundé, including the diplomats and the president, and they will migrate. That's what will happen. So if children are leaving your country, your house, and are running out, then you had better ask the right question. What is it in my house that is making my kids uncomfortable? And you solve the problem. You don't blame the children all the time. I listened to Madame talking a moment ago. Yeah, the kids should be educated about what? It is about the education. You should give them an education that gives them the capacity to be able to create wealth and opportunities for themselves. You can lecture the whole morning to them that they have to be patriotic. Patriotism is great, but you cannot tell someone who is hungry that they should be patriotic, and they would be. So what exactly am I talking about? If you look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs and try to find out what are the needs of people, why do those of you who know the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you have 5 levels, and out of that 5 levels, you have the 6th one, which is the transcendental phase. So we start at the bottom of the triangle or the pyramid down here. You have the need for food, for water, for sleep, for air. And then if you go to the 2nd level, you have the need for safety and security. Shelter is there. You go to the 3rd level, that's the level for love. You need to love and give love. The 4th level is ego. That's self-pride. And the 5th level is self-actualization. Now, if children, they might do their best, they will go to university or go to what schools or do whatever they want, and they cannot eat. They cannot.
But Dr. Nick,
if they cannot eat, they cannot solve their basic problems and feel that they are contributing, they will leave.
But Dr. Nick, we have heard about divisional officers. A divisional officer who decides to abandon his job as a divisional officer and then moves over to the United States and start doing some kind of menial jobs. He wasn't hungry here anyway. So I'm thinking that there should be an issue around mindset. And I think that's what Nadia was talking about.
Let's look at the case. Let's
getting the people to understand that you can make it here.
Yes, there's no question you can make it here, but the groundwork must be such that you can make it. It's very important. It's true that people make it here, but you have to put in so much energy, and you have to sow a lot to be able to reap out something. And it's very, very unfortunate. The children should make it here, but we the adults should prepare the ground so that when the children are sowing, it can grow. It's very, very important. I must say that the ground is not fertile for kids. We must say also that the children have to be trained in the right way so that they can do something. But again, as the children are doing something, the groundwork must be comfortable. I mean, you've heard of the bribery, you have the bribery, request for sex, all sorts of funny things and so on. So there's always a lot of negative energy around around the things that people are trying to do. Now, if we take the case of the SDO or the DO who has gone, now, you see, there are so many job opportunities, there are so many kinds of jobs that can be done. But in Cameroon, they are so limited. We have this concours to do this or this one and this little boxes. So the gentleman, you know, being a DO was not part of his psyche. He wanted to be something else, something better, but the system forced him to be a DO. And the question is, did he even go to school based on merit or through bribery? Did he go in through the window like most of them do? So you go into something, but it's not you. It's not you. So he cannot express himself. It's not because you're paying him 200,000 francs a month that is the life. No, that's no life.
Doctor, what explains the fact that a young person will take 2 million francs a year, for example? Some of them actually invest a lot of money in the perilous journey through the desert, through the sea, paying people along the way to see them through at different points and so on. 2 million francs a year, even 1 million, and instead of investing it here, he decides to invest it in a perilous journey in which he's not sure that he will even get to his destination.
When you say invest it here, the question you want to ask is invest in what? And use what capacities that you've given the child. What you're saying is right, but I'm just kind of like twisting things around so we can understand why those children are doing those things. It's true, like Madame was saying, that, you know, people who are out, they paint a glorious picture of what is going on there. So everybody is like, let me go out there. It's an El Dorado out there. It's not an El Dorado. But the question again is, let's look at what children are doing here, especially when we look at the Bamletic children and so on. They're buying and selling stuff and so on and so forth. But those of them who are doing very well, they have poultry farms and doing some things and so on. But if you look at it again very closely and we are honest to ourselves, not everybody can buy and be selling stuff. Buying and selling stuff is not it. How do we produce wealth? How do we train our children so that they produce wealth, so that they're productive? So the bottom line at the end of the day, if many of them are going out, it is the school system that has failed. It lacks technology, it lacks engineering, it lacks capacity, and it lacks just about so many things. And if we don't change that school system, they will continue to go out. You can give, let me put it another way. You can actually give to all the youths in Cameroon, give them 10 million francs each. That is not the solution.
The solution is not giving them money.
No, it's not the money. It's the capacity first, then preparing the groundwork and putting them up in companies and so on, and helping them to make things happen. But, you know, the system doesn't help people to make it.
The system doesn't help people. What can be done so that the system can help people?
Take for instance,
the young people to be able to make use of the resources that they have here, to obtain what they desire, what they are looking for out there.
See, let's just take agriculture. We can go into agriculture and do what is right, and we'll create 2 million jobs for youth in every 2 years. You see, in 2013 or I can't remember when, the president put at the disposal of youth for some special youth program 121 billion francs. You know, I was discussing this topic with Mr. Wimponga on CRTV, and I was saying if I had the opportunity to advise anybody what you should do with the 121 billion francs, you know, I would have said, take that money, you know, go to the Caterpillar company in Canada or in China or America, just buy a lot of heavy equipment. Come and share this heavy equipment to all the subdivisions in the nation, and then gather young people around this equipment and train them on how to use the equipment, train them how to use the equipment to open up farms, train them how to use the equipment to do the farm, to do the hard labor, train them how to use the equipment to do the earth roads and so on. And when they have gotten more skills, we can even buy tire from Saudi Arabia. They will be doing our roads. The roads might be bad, but they must start somewhere. So we have to invest in youth like that, so that you have lots of youths doing things and generating wealth for themselves and feeling happy about it. But the way we do it, God alone knows.
What about the issue of training in universities and other higher institutions of learning, and the gap between that, what happens in the schools, and the labor market?
I was just reading, while waiting to come on stage, I was just reading something on WhatsApp now with my friends, And you will see someone who graduates with a first degree in the English language who cannot write a CV, who would want to go to someone else to write an application for them. And besides, writing applications and CVs is not the thing. You know, someone was complaining. We have might be about 500,000 youths in our universities and higher institutes. The public service in Cameroon employs about 300,000 people, and it is already overflooded. There's no room to take 1, 2, 3, or 4 anymore. But yet the private sector has been underexploited, and it is the private sector that can employ millions and millions of youths, but that private sector is not well developed. And we've given our youth the mindset that if you are not a civil servant and you're blowing hot air and throwing your weight around, you are a nobody. You know, a funny mindset. You must be somebody. You must be standing. People must stand at attention when you're passing by so that you feel good. All of that is bullshit. So we need to develop that private sector and get our children to fit into that private sector. Like I was saying on another TV channel, go to China, buy cottage industries and bring for them so that they use it to transform most of the things we are doing. I mean, they shouldn't be doing like when we say children should go to the farm. I don't expect them to go there with a cutlass and an axe or a hoe or something like that. That's primitive. They need to be using equipment and doing things in a big way. So it is about engineering and technology and doing what it takes. Give those children the capacities, help them to create companies, and help them in the best way you can to have this entrepreneurial mindset, and it will be okay.
Dr. Nick Ngwayam, educationist, entrepreneur, thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for staying with us. Equinoxe is up next.